Internet Monitor is generally about trends that happened in the past year over the internet involving things that happen in society that impact the internet and vice versa.
The report itself is a collection of essays that was written by a number of practitioners and researchers reflecting on the past year of internet and society related topics.
The report is a series of vignettes that come from our community that kind of describe different facets of our digital world today.
The Internet Monitor Report is a way for us to kind of get a big picture view on all of the current issues that really matter to all the people involved in the Berkman Center, and that really covers a lot of different angles and different disciplinary approaches to studying the internet. So my pieces appear in the data and privacy section of the report. One of them is a piece about mapping the data ecosystem, which is largely about understanding the number of entities involved in personal data markets and trying to really understand where the flows of data happen.
My essay is about privacy in the context of human subjects research, and it asks the question in the age of the web, what does public mean? And what's going on right now is an interesting revolution in the social science and behavioral research fields. Essentially, researchers are mining the web now for data on human subjects, and they're using it to build these vast research data sets, and they can learn all sorts of new and interesting things about the subjects whose information they're collecting, but it raises some new and interesting questions about privacy.
The other piece is a kind of experimental fiction piece about personal data and the Internet of Things, titled Data, and the Internet of Paternalistic Things. And in it I talk about how my fridge basically is predicting a pregnancy.
The section's called Public Discourse, and that was basically about how communities have conversations online, how those conversations play out, and how technology mediates those conversations.
So this paper was co-written with Sans Fish, and it was focusing on the narrative or discourse that happened surrounding the Gaza War of 2014, online, focusing mainly on media sources.
Our paper was about the Gaza War over the summer of 2014 and how that played out online. There was a lot of social media activity around it, and there was a need to unpack that social media activity and understand what the voices were and how they aligned with different media sources.
So using the technology that Sans built, I was able to go through the visualizations and go through the community clusters and analyze what the discourse actually was around the war. So what media sources, what discourse the media sources used and what they clustered around.
So our analysis was based on technology that looks at the types of language that are being used online in discourse. We were able to understand which communities of discourse existed in these conversations based on the language that was most frequently used that stitched together different communities. Language that was used most in common with different communities and different media sources gave them a certain affiliation together that we could make assumptions based on.
It's important, I think, for two reasons. One is trying to understand online community discourse in general, especially amongst mainstream media. And also when it comes to conflict or topics around conflict, there's always this assumption that there's a discourse surrounding two parties, when in the reality, and especially in our report, we've realized that there's more than one discourse. And it's not just Israeli or Palestinian or one side or the other.
It's important for this to be written because there's a need for reflection when technology moves so fast. Technology is impacting society in significant ways, and if we don't spend the time to understand that, then we may fall into the same pitfalls that we've fallen into in the past year.
I think it gives you a great snapshot of what's been going on in the last year, and also it gives you some insights into what are the interesting things that other people are studying.
I think it's really important to take the step back and look at the reflections that have come, especially since this is a collection of essays from top researchers across the world. So you're looking at not just what's going on online, but also what's going on online in different areas of the world.
Yeah, so I think one of the things this report does is to start to cover questions I think that future research can address.
Well, what we bring to it is we bring a lot of different perspectives on what's going on in the world, and so being able to talk about these issues from different angles, I think, is really instructive.
This report is important to read for people who aren't in the Internet and Society domain, because it gives them a very 30,000-foot view look at what's going on in the Internet and how communities are forming and how conversations are playing out.